Welcome to the Coldiron Gridiron, where every sport gets the cold iron breakdown. Welcome back, everybody, to the Coldiron Gridiron podcast. I am your host, Cold Forge Steel on Instagram, Zach Coldiron. Also here with my little brother and also host of the Coldiron Gridiron podcast, Sean. You can follow him on X at spcold69. How's it going today, brother?
Beautiful day, man. Hot here in Tampa as always. I'm so ready for the quote unquote fall season that we get down here. But man, I got up this morning, went to the gym, felt great, had a nice day at work, and about ready to cap the night off with a nice little podcast here, man.
Yeah, man.
Ready to get started.
I'm fucking hyped, but I'm also pissed because the first thing I want to talk about, and it's probably something that our listeners are interested in us talking about. I'm not as interested in talking about it because my football weekend was terrible. I'm not sure how yours was.
No, I can definitely say the same. Although I will say, hosting being in 4 fantasy leagues, winning 3 of the 4 was a great way to start the season. But I think the major topic is how the Bengals performed this past Sunday. Obviously, we all know the Bengals do not perform very well at the beginning of the season, and that bled into the 2024-2025 season. That Patriots offense, Ramondre Stevenson just ran all over our defense. Joe Burrow couldn't get it done. Run game was not, where it needs to be. The Bengals have a lot of work to do here.
I totally agree, and there were so many factors that caused this game to go the way it did, and I'll be honest with you, I think Jamar said it best in his post-game interview. He said, ask Zach. Now, everyone's probably going to be like, oh, it's Joe Burrow's fault. Oh, it's Jamar's fault. Oh, it's Zach Moss's fault. They're going to point fingers at the players, right? But at the end of the day, when it's the fourth quarter, you're running a 2-minute drill. You guys line up in formation. Joe Burrow has been playing in shotgun every single fucking play in the game. And you decide to run a fucking screenplay when I think Yoshivas was in man-on-man coverage with somebody in a cover one robber situation? Like, do you think Zach Taylor knows what he's doing, truthfully? Like, because I think that was terrible play call.
I do agree that it is terrible play calling. However, I do believe Zach Taylor does know what he's doing. He's been in this position before. He's been a head coach for the Bengals the last, I believe, 4 years. At the end of the day, it did come down to coaching and stats, too. Stats did show that Jamar Chase had a lot of separation this past week, and he just didn't get the ball. I believe he had 6 receptions, 62 yards, not even a single touchdown. I'm not going to lie, I did have a straight bet. It was not part of my selections last week, but I did have a straight bet with Jamar. Anytime touchdown score, that didn't happen. The Patriots defense is still living up to the hype. I definitely do think that, that defense can and will, continue to fight throughout the rest of the year. And they possibly could have a chance to win this division, maybe. I know that's going to be a crazy take. It's a hot take. Obviously, the Bills looked great. Their defense still a little shaky. The Jets have a lot of work to do. It's early. It's still early, but that Patriots defense really did shut down our offense. I believe they only allowed maybe 224 total yards. And the Bengals lost 2 fumbles all of last year. 17 weeks. The Bengals lost 2 fumbles, and they already did that, in the new season on week 1. So at the end of the day, it does come down to coaching, and the Bengals still have a lot of work to do. But it's early. I mean, we were in the same position last year and the year before. Started the season 1-1 or 0-2, and we still made the AFC Championship game. So I'm a firm believer. It's how you finish, but it's always you need to start strong. You need to finish strong in order to be successful. And right now, the Bengals just aren't successful.
Yeah, and I think that starts in the preseason, man, because think about this, right? You don't really play Joe Burrow, and Jamar opts out of playing in the preseason because of contract negotiations, right?
Yep.
These guys aren't getting reps. They are literally going into week 1 cold. This is why, for the last couple of years, the Bengals have started off cold. Literally, I think within the Zach Taylor era, they have won one week 1 game.
And it was an overtime against the Minnesota Vikings. It had to go to overtime in order for that win to happen.
It sucks because sometimes I feel as a fan watching the game, week 1 is going to set the tone for the rest of the season. And this is just me personally. I feel like the vibes in the locker room for the Bengals are completely off. I'm not sure if it's got anything to do with Jamar or if it's the Joe Burrow injury or maybe it's losing some key players like Joe Mixon, who, by the way, fantastic week. One of my favorite Bengals. I wanted to shout him out, bro. Fucking congratulations on such a big game with the Houston Texans.
Yeah.
The Bengals should have fucking paid you, though, because imagine CJ Stroud is not in shotgun formation every single play. He handed the ball to Joe Mixon off quite a bit while being under center. Imagine you mix that up with some passes. The Bengals would have won a Super Bowl already.
I agree. And I think at the end of the day, the coaching is just scared. Joe Burrow is risking himself if he is under center. You know, if you're under shotgun, you got a little bit of separation between yourself and the defense, but they need to grab some balls. They really need to get Burrow under center to the point where he can step back, survey the field, and man, it was just a very disappointing Sunday. And this topic right now is pretty sensitive as a Bengals fan. But hey, you know, we got to be optimistic. We got a big game this weekend against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. I mean, he is just a one-of-one guy, and honestly, he is the future in the NFL. But hey, Joe Burrow is 3-1 against Pat Mahomes. Let's see what's going to happen. Joe Burrow tends to play and win when they are the underdog against Patrick Mahomes. Again, like I said last week, I'm a very superstitious guy. History repeats itself kind of guy. Well, but we'll see what happens, this Sunday at 4:25 Eastern.
Yeah, and to be honest, that's going to be a big game. The reason I think they put it this early in the season is because it was a Week 12 game last year. They were like, well, I kind of want to see that Joe Burrow-Patrick Mahomes matchup, so let's throw it in early in the season just in case one of the two gets hurt. And
they threw that, man, Week 16 on New Year's Eve, man. They waited till the end of the year, and then all of a sudden they want to switch it to the beginning of the year. Put it in the middle where everyone's comfortable, everyone's confident. They have a rhythm, both on offense, both on defense, and that's where the competition is. And I think the NFL, obviously, they need to take notes, but I think it would be better if these two powerhouse teams met in the smack dab in the middle of the season. It would be definitely a more competitive matchup.
I definitely agree with that. I think a midseason Week 7, 8, 9, maybe even 10 matchup would have been perfect, for these two teams, just because everyone, like you said, they're confident, man. When you're hitting that stride, you're getting comfortable, you're maybe like 6-3, 7-3, whatever. That makes it to be a big game, and a lot more people are going to tune in. And honestly, you ask me, business-wise, smart, because you're generating more revenue because more people are watching the game.
Speaking of, I mean, the NFL has set a record this past weekend with averaging 21 million viewers per game. So, I mean, obviously, it's an American sport. It's an American pastime. We all love the sport of football. Again, Bengals have a lot of work to do here.
I definitely agree, and I'm really excited to see what they do this weekend. We're hoping for the best, but we'll talk about that more later on in this episode. I want to kind of caveat to something else. We don't only like to talk about football. We love baseball. We grew up playing baseball. I think I played for almost 20 years. You played for just as long. We've played in wooden bat adult leagues up until like T-ball and everything in between. So I'm not as educated on the baseball scene as I was a couple years ago. But the playoffs are coming up. Literally, the season ends in less than 20 days, and playoffs are going to begin.
Yep.
You're a Rays fan, but also a Reds fan. But we both know you're a bigger Rays fan. And I'm the big Reds fan, right? Both of our teams, they're definitely not making the playoffs this year, bro. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, and that's honestly what I expected, especially with all the trades with our third baseman, Randy. those players went and moved on. Obviously, I mean, I think we still have nobody. That's honestly who we have. Jose Siri. I mean, he's been great, but Rays are entering a rebuild. The Reds have just been a joke under David Bell. Not even a 500 winning percentage with him. 0-2 in the playoffs. These past 5 years with him have been abysmal. And the Reds remind me of the Bengals. Cheap ownership, cheap as hell. They want to get rid of people. And what they need to do is extend Ellie De La Cruz. Obviously, he's going to be a face of that franchise. I mean, you got players like him, Jonathan India. They should have kept Joey Votto for this year. I know he's getting old, but unfortunately, a couple weeks ago, I believe he just retired. But yeah, it's unfortunate the direction that these two teams are currently headed.
It really is. And with the David Bell shit, man, 0-2 in the playoffs. You go under 500 this season. All I see on Reds Twitter X, is coming for this guy's fucking job. And to be honest with you, when you're performing this abysmally, you should be on the hot seat. But the Reds ownership, they seem comfortable with him there. And it starts with right where you said, they're fucking cheap. And if they don't fucking extend Ellie De La Cruz, I'm taking off my Reds hat, brother, and I'm joining the Tampa Bay Rays, bro. Because look, they're in different fucking conferences, okay? So it's not like, oh, you're a traitor, you went to another National League team. No, bro. I grew up in Tampa. I fucking always liked the Rays. If the Rays aren't playing the Reds, I'm rooting for the Rays. I am not going to financially support a team who is not going to listen to their fans. First things first, invest in your young fucking talent, and guess what? You'll be where you want to be. Not 0-2 in the playoffs. Maybe you'll get as far as the ALDS, or NLDS, or the NLCS. You'll find success if you invest. You gotta spend money to make money.
Well, the Rays aren't really, headed in the right direction. But hey, if you want to hop on that Rays train, baby, it's the horn's blowing, baby. Hop on.
and I'm already kind of on the Rays train. I'm just a bigger fan of one team than the other. But the MLB's super competitive nowadays, man. You've got teams like in the National League. You got the Phillies, the Dodgers, the Mets. Surprisingly, looked good this year. I was quite pleasantly surprised, to be honest with you, because I remember for the last couple of years, the Mets have been like the running joke in the MLB.
Yeah, no, I believe they currently lead the NL East, if I'm not mistaken. What's funny is I had the Mets and the Guardians in the World Series last year. I don't think anyone predicted the Diamondbacks and the Rangers in the World Series last year, but I predicted the Guardians and the Mets, last year, and that didn't happen, but it seems to be a possibility this year. The Mets are just a couple games over 500. Guardians, I believe, have one of the top records in baseball, other than the Philadelphia Phillies right now. And speaking of, I don't know if you watched that Rays-Phillies game last night, but I have a hard time pronouncing that Rays pitcher's last name. But he was just suspended 3 games, along with Kevin Cash suspended 1 game for intentionally hitting Nick Castellanos. I don't know what it is, but it always seems to be a situation in the MLB with the Nick Castellanos bullshit. I think it's hilarious.
I don't know, I've never understood the intentionally hitting people. We've played baseball for a long time, man, and I know damn well you've intentionally hit people. But I've pitched. It gets frustrating. Yeah, if someone breaks an unspoken rule, whatever, who gives a fuck? Dude, it's just a fucking game. So the whole intention, I'm gonna hit you because you make me mad. Honestly, you look like a bitch, you ask me. That's just my opinion, but...
Oh, I've done that a couple times, and I used to get a little hot-headed growing up. I think it was the part of the HGH I took, but at the end of the day, you're right. It's a fucking game, dude. Grow the fuck up. I mean, you're costing your team. I mean, there's nothing for the Rays to, they're not costing anything because they're not even making the fucking playoffs. No, they're under 500.
They're not.
But I mean, come on, dude. You're adults. Like Nick Castellanos said, I mean, you're throwing a fit like my 2-year-old kid,
Brother, goddamn, man. Man, and you said you kind of gave your prediction with who you think's going to win, or go to the World Series, play each other. You said the Mets and the Guardians. I've got a little bit of a different opinion. I am AL East team here, and you might hate me for it, but the Orioles, man, They look really good this year, man. I personally think it's going to be Orioles-Dodgers. I think that's what we're going to see, and I think we're going to see Shohei win MVP and get his first ring.
I like that. I like that a lot, man. Baltimore is a very young team. Who's their catcher? God, I literally have a hard time remembering this dude's last name. Adley Rutschman. I know they have Halliday's kid. I don't know if he's still on the main roster. I don't keep up with baseball as much as I do with football, but man, they have, such a young squad. And if I were to, pick, I would say Orioles in 6 against the Dodgers. And I do like your take for Shohei Ohtani winning MVP, although I think it should be Ellie. Definitely not biased there.
Maybe a little biased, but
he's batting 260, 64 stolen bases. I mean, he's on pace for hitting almost 80, which we haven't seen in a couple decades at this point. I mean, 23 home runs, setting a Reds franchise record as a switch hitter. I mean, he's great. The Reds need to sign him if, like you said, if they want to be successful, they need to extend him.
100%, man. And Ellie is my favorite fucking Reds player right now. It was Joey Votto till he retired, which, by the way, congratulations, Joey, on a fucking great career. You're an awesome human being, a fucking hilarious human being, and you are the reason I fell in love with Reds baseball as much as I did, ever since you started. So, hats off to a great career for him, man.
Yeah, he was definitely a role model of mine growing up, man. Him and David Price.
Oh, man, David Price, bro. That brings back so many memories. Watching him pitch was fucking awesome.
Yeah, man. I think he's on the Dodgers, so he hopefully could get another ring, but we'll see.
Hey, hold on. Let me confirm this information. I do think he is. He's a Los Angeles Dodger. Is he going to get his ring, my boy?
Oh, he's already gotten one. He's just getting old.
Yeah, he is getting old, bro. I'm not going to lie. I am not going to lie. He is getting old, man. He's probably going to retire here soon, man. Like within the next 2-3 years, I would imagine.
It's crazy seeing all these players we used to watch growing up getting old, man. We're getting there.
We're not an exception to the rule, brother. We are not an exception. Right. All right. So, exceptions. Why don't we talk about something that rhymes with exceptions? And that would be Sean's selections. Sean, and it could be any sport. It doesn't just have to be football. This week, what is your quote-unquote totally not financial advice?
Yeah, like he said, not financial advice. Do not come for my head if this bet does not hit. But I have put money down on tomorrow night's Bills-Dolphins game. Dolphins tend to struggle against Buffalo. I believe they've only won one of their last 12 meetings. But I have Bills plus 2.5 and Tyreek Hill anytime touchdown score. Those odds currently, as of right now on the Hard Rock app, are plus 275. If you want, you can also use your 10% profit boost on that 2-leg parlay. But I do believe that bet could hit. It's interesting seeing the Bills as an underdog here. I know they're in Miami. That's probably the reason why the Dolphins are favored. And I can definitely see Tyreek Hill getting arrested getting a touchdown during the game here tomorrow night.
Oh my God. Which, by the way, that was totally like my favorite thing that happened about football this weekend was Tyreek Hill getting arrested. And it wasn't because he got arrested, because that's not funny. The funny part was his fucking touchdown celebration after he got arrested.
And of course, the No Fun League fined him, I believe, a couple, like 10 grand.
10 grand. It was like 10 grand or something like that.
Roger Goodell.
Come on, bro.
Grow up. He's such a terrible commissioner.
Honestly,
I have so much I want to say, but I'm going to keep my mouth shut about that, man.
No. And you know me, I'm not afraid to speak my mind. If I get fucking blacklisted from the NFL, you know what? Go fuck yourselves. I'm still watching your product. So you're welcome for putting money in your pockets. But why the fuck are we fining people for a celebration that's not even causing anybody fucking harm, bro?
Because it's scripted. No, I'm just kidding.
Speaking of causing people harm, I think that's a great segue into what we're going to talk about next. We're going to talk about the P. Diddy of the NFL, Deshaun Watson.
Oh, boy.
You heard about the allegations, right?
Another one, as DJ Khaled would say. I mean, this dude cannot stop with these humping the bed and massages, rub my ass shit. Like, bro, put the fries in the bag. Like, just play some. The only balls you want to touch are your own, and some footballs, brother. Some pigskin. Okay. And this is I don't want to talk too much into this subject. It's a very sensitive topic. But he is a joke and a thief. I mean, the Browns got rid of 3 first-round draft picks for this man and over $200 million. I mean, what the hell? The Browns knew what they were getting, themselves into, a couple of years ago when they signed Watson. I personally do see him getting suspended once again. I do think it's a joke that he hasn't been permanently banned from the league. I mean, he was only suspended 11 games due to he had 24 cases against him. 23 of the 24 settled. A 25th one just appeared. And what the hell, dude? I don't know. It frustrates me, honestly. I mean, the Browns have been through a lot, but they did it to themselves.
They really did, man. And here's the thing, man. If he's going to be doing all this nasty, disgusting shit to people, why the fuck are you giving him 100% of his contract guaranteed? Because think about it this way, right? Let's say, and this isn't saying that I would do this kind of thing to people. I join the NFL. I get a fully guaranteed contract. I don't do any of the bad shit that he does, but I get a fully guaranteed contract in the NFL, even as a sane person. Oh, hey, I think I tweaked my shoulder, man. I can't play this week. You're still going to get paid. You sit out, you're still going to get paid. It gives him no incentive to want to go out there and play good. Hence why he threw for under 100 fucking yards this week against the fucking Cowboys.
Did he really?
I think he fucking did, dude. Hold on. Let me see. Deshaun Watson stats. I'm pretty sure. Okay.
Of course.
It was 169, but 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions, bro, with a 51.1 passer rating? Seriously? Are you fucking kidding me? If I was a Browns fan, bro, and I know a couple, I'd be coming after this motherfucker's head. Because I was talking to Parker this weekend about this, our buddy Parker. He will be on the podcast here soon, the week before the Browns game. So make sure you guys keep tuning into us. That episode will come soon. But, man, he was talking about how this fucking guy doesn't even deserve to be on the team. He really fucking doesn't.
Yep. Start Jameis at this point, man. I think he's a great quarterback. He likes to eat his W's, and I personally think he could continue to eat those W's if he was, under center for the Cleveland Browns. I think they need to move on from Deshaun Watson, or Roger Goodell's bitch ass needs to fucking do something about him.
Dude, absolutely. If he doesn't get suspended, it's a joke. And I already think.
Not gonna happen.
Here's the thing, bro. And Rashee Rice should be suspended too. He didn't
want everything to be settled in court before they, proceed with anything. But hey, Josh Gordon smoked some pot. Oh no, buddy. Not even is your season done, but your entire career is done. And he was on pace for some record-setting numbers. Like Roger Goodell, like I said earlier, I could go in on Roger Goodell for days, but I'm not going to. But it's just a complete joke on this league can just be frustrating sometimes. It's a great sport to watch. It's entertainment at the end of the day. But man, do they just they're just stupid.
It's two-faced in a sense, bro, because nowadays they don't even test for marijuana. I don't think they do, if I remember correctly.
They completely scratched it, I think, within the last couple of years. And when that happened, man, I was ranting all over X, formerly Twitter. I was going nuts. I mean, it's just fucking pot, dude. He's not out here beating women, sexually assaulting women. He's smoking weed. Who cares?
Exactly, and it's not even a big deal.
I digress. I'm not a part of the league. I'm not a player, whatever. So I digress.
Yeah, and we probably won't get into this topic too much longer, but I really think that they should reinstate him. I know he probably won't get a fair shot because obviously getting up in age, but I just think it's horseshit that they did that to that man. And
start Jameis.
Start Jameis, indeed. He's gonna eat those fucking crab legs and W's up, baby. All right, so we're big guys of fantasy football here. I love fantasy football. We're going to talk about some of the people who you should start and who you should sit this week. So I'm going to go ahead and let you take the reins on a few people who you think you should start, and then I'll go through a few people I should start, and then we'll switch and go to sitting.
Okay. Well, obviously we're going to go over when we do these start 'em, sit 'em. segments here. We're going to run over quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. Obviously, your generic, players that you guys will start. For this week, my quarterback stardom for the week is going to be Jaden Daniels against the Giants. I mean, we saw what happened this past weekend with the Giants. I mean, they have got some work to do. They, I think, are in a total rebuild. Not sure why they signed Daniel Jones to such a crazy contract. I mean, 4 years, I believe $160 million off the top of my head. Don't remember, but the Giants got some work to do. So I do like Jaden Daniels. He's a scrambler. He's going to get you some rushing yards. So I will say you should start Jaden Daniels this week versus the New York Giants.
I think that's a great pick. So I guess we're going to go by position. My start quarterback this week is going to be none other than obviously the GOAT. Why do I say that? Patrick Mahomes, by the way, if you guys aren't listening. The Bengals secondary this week, man, there's so many holes, bro. I love our secondary. I love Von Bell, Jordan Battle. I don't think they could handle Mahomes, man. I think Mahomes is going to be throwing piss missiles all across the field, and I think he's guaranteed to get at least 22.5 fantasy points.
I do like that. Patrick Mahomes, obviously, as I said earlier, is a one-of-one kind of guy. Bengals defense had a lot of work to do, especially on the running defense side of things. Passing defense, I thought they looked great, but I mean, you can never go wrong with starting, Patrick Mahomes. I do think another guy you guys should start here this week. I think a good pick would be Jalen Hurts. Falcons defense just looked terrible this past weekend. I thought they were going to have a top 5, top 10 defense coming into this year, but I mean they let the Steelers just with Justin Fields kind of walk all over them, and at the end of the day they lost. So I think Jalen Hurts would also be another good selection for a start. As for a sit for this week, I would say, God, who would I sit this week? I mean, Will Levis. I mean, he might even be a sit every other day of the week, but that Jets defense, I know they kind of gave up, a decent amount of points this past Monday night against the 49ers, but stay away from Will Levis or any Titans quarterback for the rest of the year. I don't know about yours. Sit him for this week at that position, but I'm going to go ahead and sit on Will Levis here. Pause.
Yeah, so you mentioned actually your start. One of your starts is one of my sits, bro. Take a guess. I just want you to guess.
You're not going to start Will Levis, are you?
No, fuck no. Why the fuck would I start him?
Are you going to start? Who was I just ranting about?
I'm sorry. I'm talking about sitting. I want to tell you who I'm talking about sitting.
Jalen Hurts?
Yes. Bro.
Okay.
He looked like fucking shit against Green Bay. Like, when I say he looked like fucking shit, I honestly thought this guy was an elite quarterback.
He threw 275 and 2 touchdowns. I mean, I know his completion percentage was a little bit shaky, but it's early. He's consistent. He can get in the end zone. He can, he's got some weapons. A.J. Brown downfield. I mean, I think he's a good start. But, hey, I mean, that's your take, man. I won't say much else on it, but I think Jalen Hurts will perform well this week. But we'll see. We could talk about this, on our Week 3 podcast.
We definitely can. And mainly what was killing him for me was the stupid fucking turnovers, man. Like, some of the throws that he were making, they were clearly, like, underthrown and straight to the fucking defense. Why are you making those decisions? You are a guy who has... You don't really have a pocket presence, but you can scramble like a motherfucker. If nobody's open, you fucking find the opening. I legitimately, I thought this guy was like maybe top 5, top 10 quarterback in the league. I don't even know if he's top 15, bro.
I don't know if I agree with that, but hey, you're on some shit right now. Whatever you're taking, I'll have, please.
All right. Let's move on to running backs real quick, bro. Who's your start? Okay. And then we'll just do one. We'll just do one player for each position for a start and sit. Who is your start at the running back position this week?
I am a firm starter in probably Gus Edwards this week. I mean, he absolutely went off this past weekend with was he? No. I'm sorry. Terrible. Sorry. It was J.K. Dobbins. will definitely be a start for this week. He had 10 carries, 135 yards, 1 touchdown, and the Chargers are heading over to Carolina to play the Panthers. And without Derek Brown, the Panthers are in trouble. So you guys should start J.K. Dobbins this week against the Carolina Panthers.
Okay, I think that's a good start right there. So, excuse me, there was something in my throat. I want to talk about my running back start for this week. This might be a little bit of a hot take. Don't get me wrong. I am kind of iffy on this guy, but he had a fantastic game last week. Ramondre Stevens.
Against that Seattle secondary?
Yes, brother. What's the secondary got to do for a run game, my baby? What's it got to do? Just run. That motherfucker was running. Bro, he was getting past some pretty... And I'm not saying that the Bengals are like a great defense, but I think they're a pretty freaking good defense, at least on paper. If he can do that against the Bengals, why wouldn't he be able to do that against Seattle, who has an okay linebacker core and okay defensive line, and now a very great secondary. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to give credit where credit is due, but I truly think he's going to have another good week. Now, maybe that's because in the past, I had him on my fantasy teams when he was clutch.
Okay.
He was clutch. But when he wasn't, bro, he wasn't. I think he's going to get the job done in Seattle, bro. I really do.
No, I can agree with you on that. I mean, Jacoby Brissett really isn't going to be your guy at quarterback. I mean, he can give you some consistent numbers, but those numbers are going to be pretty low. I do believe that the Patriots are going to be run heavy a lot this year. So I actually do agree with you on starting Ramondre Stevenson for this week, actually. I mean, look at you changing my mind on that take there.
All right. So maybe we'll change some minds on some takes here. Who are you sitting at running back, bro? Let's be honest.
I know we touch on this topic a lot with the Bengals. I'm just going to say sit Zach Moss. I mean, he only touched the ball 11 times, 61 yards. I know he had a touchdown last week. He might get one again this week against the Chiefs, but I mean, that Chiefs secondary is young, dumb, and full of cum. I mean, they get the job done. I don't know why I just made that rhyme like 4 or 5 times, but I'm not even going to say more on this. Sit Zach Moss.
I agree, man. They're not giving him enough touches, and he wasn't making any big plays off the touches he did get. I think that's a good one. He was going to be mine, but I'm going to choose somebody else because I obviously want to keep the shit interesting. My take is you sit Rachaad White this week. Now, why Rachaad White? Rachaad White's a great running back. He's playing one of the most elite defenses in the league this week. The Detroit fucking Lions, bro.
Yeah, and he didn't look all that impressive last week against who did the Bucks open their season with? The Commanders.
The Commanders,
Baker Mayfield. Boy, does he bake. I mean, 4 touchdown passes. He looked fantastic last week. So I will agree with you on sitting Rachaad White for this week.
Yep, and with that wraps the running back position up. We will do wide receiver. No, actually, let's do tight end first, and then let's save wide receiver for last. Who is your start at tight end this week?
Honestly, I'm going to be real with you. This past week with tight ends was tough. We saw, I believe, a record low of production from tight ends across the league. But I would probably say go ahead and, a safe bet is start Sam Laporta or even Isaiah Likely. Either or would be a safe option. Bucks lost a lot of key players in the offseason on defense, so obviously their pass protection isn't where it used to be with the loss of Devin White, etc. So I would say it's safe to start Sam Laporta for this week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I think that's a pretty good one. I think that's someone who's going to generate some stuff there. Mine's going to be a little different, bro. Tight end, like you said, is kind of tough. Do I really feel this way? Fuck it. I'm going to say it anyway. You're going to start Isaiah Likely. I say that
okay,
because he had a fantastic week.
He did.
I was surprised. I thought, I was like, oh yeah, that's their tight end too. I learned his name last year. I was like, oh, that's their tight end too.
Oh yeah, he went crazy on the Bengals on that Thursday night game where we lost Burrow. He looked great.
He went crazy. And then I'm going to go caveat here. I'm going to start with my sit. And it's also somebody on the Ravens that's at the tight end position. Their left tackle, Mark Andrews.
Something told me you were going to say that. Yeah, he, I think, only had 2 targets, 2 receptions, whatever last week. I mean, I don't know what's going on with Mark Andrews. The future is now, old man. Isaiah Likely is that guy. Mark Andrews, I think, is cooked, brother. He is cooked.
I don't think he's cooked. I still think he's good. I think it's a mix of the injury. Maybe the Ravens are trying to, try a couple of different things, see what works, see what doesn't. But I'm not saying that Mark Andrews isn't a great blocker or that he's not a great tight end. He's a fantastic tight end. He can block like a motherfucker. He can catch passes. He can run. He can do everything. He is everything you want in a tight end. I think the Ravens should utilize him a little more, but I don't think they're going to this week. So, last position for the start and sit. My favorite position. Doggy style. Pause. Anyways, wide receiver. Who are you starting this week, man?
At the wide receiver for this week, well, we didn't get to my sit on the tight ends.
Oh, true. That's my bad. Who's your sit?
I'll keep this quick, very quick. I would say go ahead and sit Trey McBride. A lot of hype coming in, this offseason with him. I believe he is a second year from Colorado State. I mean, he just looked terrible last week. Kyler Murray, I mean, obviously he's ready for double XP weekend, so I would say just go ahead and sit Trey McBride. But my start for this week at wide receiver, got some options here, but I would say we go ahead and start CeeDee Lamb. I think that's a safe bet. Dak Prescott looked great last week. They're going up against a decent Saints defense, but I do think his production will bleed into the new week here. So I would say go ahead and start CeeDee Lamb.
Okay. I think that's a great person to start. He got his bag. He's probably ready to get rolling and everything. I think that's a pretty solid pick, man. So, wide receiver, I think this one's tough. There's a lot of tough offensive versus defensive matchups this week. However, you can't go wrong with this man. He is the only wide receiver in history in the last, 10, 11 years to get over 1,000 yards every season. Mike Evans, man. He looked fantastic in that divisional game against the Lions. He looked fantastic. And if he can do that to that caliber of a defense, why the fuck can't he do it this Sunday?
Agreed. And he got 2 touchdown receptions last week from Baker. Not sure what his stats were against the Lions in the divisional round, but I mean, the Bucks, put up a fair fight last year, so I do think that is a very good option for a start this week.
Whew. All right, so our sits. Who we sitting, my friend? Who are we sitting?
Got some options here. Probably should have been a little bit more prepared with this one, but I would go ahead and say you should probably sit Jaden Reed. I know he had a very productive week last week, but with the loss of my MVP pick of the year, Jordan Love, and that obviously MVP pick out the fucking window, unfortunately, I would say go ahead and sit Jaden Reed for this week. Malik Willis, it just looks terrible on tape. I don't think he's going to get it done this year. Packer fans, I hate to say it, Hunter, I know you're probably listening, but the season's over. And I could honestly probably say the same as a Bengal fan, but hopefully Jordan Love can come back, stronger than expected, win, possibly every game, when he does come back from his MCL injury, and maybe he could carry the Packers off to the playoffs. But I think this division, the NFC North right now, the Lions and the Vikings are fighting for that number 1 spot for now. So, but overall, just sit Jaden Reed, sit any Christian Wilkins, whatever, sit any Packer receiver. and you'll be fine.
Okay, I think that's a pretty good take considering Jordan Love unfortunately had I think it was an MCL strain. He's kind of day-to-day at this point, so I think that's a pretty good take.
Could have been worse, honestly. I mean, watching tape, you could literally see his knee pop.
Bro.
And not something worse than that, but he got lucky. Let me tell you that.
He did. He got really lucky, and I'm just glad he's okay. He's probably going to come back in like 4 to 5 weeks. I wouldn't be surprised if they put him on the injured reserve list. So he would have to sit out for 4 weeks, but I do think that, that take is pretty valid. My sit for this week, though, I might get some fucking hate for it. Marvin Harrison Jr. He's a rookie. If you watch Kyler Murray's press conference, he's like, yeah, I knew he was open, but it's not my job to pass to him. That's pretty much what he said. Why the fuck are you not passing to an elite receiver who's waving his hands wide open when the nearest defender is 40 yards behind him? I don't know if there's like some sort of personal vendetta with Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr., but as a quarterback, do your fucking job and hit the guy that's wide the fuck open. Give him his points.
And be a leader at the end of the day. I didn't see his post-game conference with the media, but if that is true on what he said, that he's not setting an example as a leader. I do agree with, sitting Marvin Harrison Jr. for this week. Obviously, we didn't see very much of him. I don't even think we saw anything of him this past week. And I don't know if you remember, but after, he was drafted this past year, there was some in-house drama with him in the Arizona Cardinals. And I personally think that Marvin Harrison Jr. could possibly, I think he'll play this season out with the Cardinals, but we could possibly see him getting traded to another organization within the next, before his 4-year contract's up.
I don't like the guy, man. And he's going to tank when the new COD comes out. By the way, Black Ops 6 comes out next month, guys. So we're going to see Kyler Murray's going to be throwing less than 150 yards a game. His completion percentage is going to drop down to 40, and he's going to probably average 0.5 touchdowns a game after October 25th.
KD up. Win-loss percentage down.
All right, man. I think it's time to get into our last segment, which is our little bet we've got going on. Who's going to have the best predictions for the season? So you've got your pool from last week pulled up, right?
Yeah, don't even get me started. I went an even 8-8 last week. I was honestly hoping for something a little better, but go ahead and start with yours. You seem to have a much better week than I did.
11-5, baby. I'm that much closer to $50, and even if I don't win the $50,
you told me earlier you went 10-6. What happened to that?
Hold on. I just checked it. I thought it was 10-6, but it's 11-5. It's saved. I don't touch it. I only touch week 2. I promise I'm not fucking doing some fuck shit. Okay?
And no, I'm just giving you a hard time.
All right. So let's get into this week's predictions, man. We got some crazy matchups this week. We started with the AFC last week. Why don't we start with the NFC this week?
Okay.
San Francisco versus the Vikings. I'm taking San Francisco. I don't even think that's a fucking discussion.
Yeah, no, totally agree. I'm going to go ahead and stick with the 49ers on that pick. I know Sam Darnold looked strong last week, but, he played the Giants. He had a, 2-touchdown game, over 200 yards, a decent, completion percentage. I know I mentioned last week he was behind in the podcast, he was behind a very successful organization last year with the 49ers. He's obviously on the other end of the stick this week. But I am going to actually, this is early, but this is my lock of the week. San Francisco on top in Minnesota.
Ooh, it's a crazy lock of the week, man, but it's totally valid. I do think that's a good lock of the week. So both got San Francisco winning. Maybe this will shake things up. Probably not, though. We got the Cowboys versus the Saints. I'm personally taking the Cowboys, man. They look good against them Browns.
They sure did. Honestly, I didn't think Dak Prescott would look as good as he, against that Browns defense. On paper, they look great. Over the last couple of years, they've, been top 5, top 10 in the league, pass rush and pass defense, pass rush. Gosh, I can't even talk tonight. Overall, the Browns defense is fantastic. Dak Prescott held to his end of the bargain. I'm going to go ahead and also pick the Dallas Cowboys to win against the New Orleans Saints.
That's a good one, man. Looks like we're on the same page right now, but this one might throw a wrench in that shit. The Giants versus the Commanders. This is a tough one. They're both not so great teams. Personally, I think, like you said, Jaden Daniels, I think he's going to pop off this week, man. I think the Commanders are going to have a pretty decent game against the Giants, so I am going to put the Commanders over the Giants.
And I will go ahead and second you on that. Giants have a lot of work to do. I don't know if they'll go 0-17, but I don't see them winning a handful of games this year. But I do think the rookie Jaden Daniels is going to impress a lot of people this weekend. So I'll go ahead and lock in on the Commanders as well.
All right. Well, I think we're going for the same here so far. This one, however, is personally my game of the week. And I think this is going to throw a wrench. We might be a house divided on this game. A rematch from the NFC divisional game last year, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Detroit Lions.
Detroit! Sorry, had to throw that in there. I'm going to go ahead and pick the Lions to win this one. I'm sorry, my fellow Tampa Bay fans, but the Lions just look fantastic all over the place, offensively, defensively, especially if this game is in Detroit. If it was in Tampa, it could go either way, but it's just way too hard to beat the Lions at home. So give me the Lions on top here.
Man, I was not playing when I said we'd be a house divided, man.
Oh, boy.
I think Baker Mayfield gets his fucking get-backs, bro. I think Baker Mayfield, in the last 2 minutes of the game, is going to get the go-ahead touchdown and win the game for the Bucs. I legitimately think it's going to be to the fucking wire. This is my game of the week, personally. I don't know if it's yours, but this is my game to watch of the week. It's not my lock of the week, because this isn't going to be a lock. This is going to be one you probably want to avoid betting on. But just saying, this is going to be a fantastic matchup.
Yeah, I believe the line for the over was set at 51. I could definitely see this being a complete shootout. Again, I know the Lions defense is pretty good, but if Baker can do what he did last week and transition that into this week, man, could we be in for a hell of a game offensively and see some points put up on that board.
Oh, that would be fucking awesome, man. And we're definitely watching that one. We're definitely going to have to sit down, eat some wings, drink some probably Diet
Water.
Coke. Diet Coke. I'll drink 2 liters of Diet Coke a day, man. All right. Next game in the NFC, we got the Rams versus the Cardinals. What are you thinking, man? This is kind of a tough game, too, in my opinion.
I don't think there's much to think about. Give me the Rams.
Yeah, the Rams are probably going to ram the Cardinals, let's be honest.
Hey, yo. Okay. I like how you put that.
Put that what? What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
Oh, you know exactly what I mean, brother.
Pause. No Diddy.
No, resume.
All right. All right, so we'll resume on to the next pick, man. This one, I think, is also a fucking no-brainer. The Eagles versus the Falcons. I'm taking the Eagles all fucking day, bro.
Yeah, I mean, after the way the Falcons looked this past week, I mean, I know the Steelers have a great defense, but Kirk Cousins, what the fuck? I mean, I was expecting a lot more from him. I don't know if he's still, learning a playbook. I mean, he had an entire offseason to learn the playbook, learn new things, build chemistry with his teammates. He has some decent receivers. I mean, he's got Kyle Pitts, who he hurt. I know there were a lot of, injuries this past week. I mean, here we go. He had 3 receptions, 26 yards. I mean, you got receivers like him and Drake London. You would think he would put up some points offensively, but I mean, 10 points? Like, what the fuck? I mean, Atlanta's got some work to do. I really thought they were going to be my pick for the NFC South this year. But I'm going to go ahead and put the Eagles. I'm going to put money on the Eagles and I believe this is a Monday night football game.
Yes, it is the Monday night football game, so that'll be on primetime. Eagles, primetime? 2 weeks in a row?
EAGLES, baby.
Oh, all right. Well, before we get into the AFC matchups, which we're probably looking forward to talking about the most, but let's do the interconference games. The first one we've got is the Colts at the Packers. We're probably going to be a little divided on this one, man. I'm taking the Packers.
Really? Okay. Without Jordan Love? Interesting.
The run
I know
game,
they...
baby. I believe.
Yeah,
I believe in Josh Jacobs, bro.
Josh Jacobs. I almost said Aaron Jones, but RIP. They sent him to a rival for some fucking stupid reason, but I could see them running the ball a lot. That could honestly probably be another start of the week for your running back. If you have Josh Jacobs, throw him in the flex, throw him in your running back slot. He is going to put up some numbers. However, be wary. The Colts defensive line looks strong. Can he get past that? We don't know. We will find out. But he possibly could be a safe bet for a start this week. But personally, for me, you're going to take the Packers. I'm going to go ahead and take the Colts. Anthony Richardson looked fantastic last week. Boy, does he have an arm. Don't know if you saw that clip on Instagram or wherever online. But, I mean, that ball he threw, I don't know who caught that touchdown pass. But, I mean, he got every bit of 60, 70 yards in the air. Boy, is he going to be a threat in the AFC South this year. Lock in the Indianapolis Colts for me to win this week.
Yeah, I do. I really like Anthony Richardson. I like his style, the way he plays ball. But, man, I don't know. I think this is going to be my sleeper pick of the week, brother. There's just something, man.
It's going to be your upset pick of the week.
Yes,
okay,
it is.
I do. Jonathan Taylor really didn't produce last week like I thought he would. They're relying, on the long ball with the pass with his arm. And that Packers rush or pass defense, man, is looking really, really good. I know Jalen Hurts may have exposed him on a player two here and there this past Friday night, but that could be a good upset pick for this week.
Abso-fucking-fruitly. So,
Colts are gonna win. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, whatever. We'll see. Money talks, right, baby? So we got the Panthers versus the Chargers. I think this is a fucking no-brainer, man. The Panthers look like fucking shit. I don't even want to talk about this one for this long. You taking the Chargers too? Yep. See how bored this motherfucker sounds just listening about this game. Justin Herbert's throwing over 300 yards. Hot take. If you don't, you better start his ass. Okay. This might be another house divided game, brother. The Seahawks at the Patriots. I'm taking the Patriots, bro. I was fucking impressed last week.
No, I mean, I know they played the Week 1 Bengals. What do you fucking do? I mean, the last couple of years, the Bengals, like you said, won Week 1 game under the Zach Taylor, Joe Burrow era. But yeah, I guess you could call it an upset pick of the week because nobody expected the Patriots to be this good. But I'm also going to I'm going to put money on the Patriots to win this weekend against Seattle. Now, if it was in Seattle, it might have been a different story because, man, does that stadium get loud. Their fans go nuts. But I'm going to go ahead and pick the New England Patriots to win and start the season off 2-0.
That's crazy. I thought you were honestly going to say the Seahawks, man. But this next game, bro. This is probably the interconference game of the week, personally.
Sunday night, baby.
Chicago versus Houston. Two young fucking quarterbacks slinging piss missiles.
A freshman and a sophomore.
No, the sophomore, bro. CJ Stroud, bro.
Yeah.
He's fucking him.
And the way Joe Mixon looked, and the way that Bears defense looked this past weekend, I mean, I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and put my money on the Texans to win this weekend.
Yeah, me too, bro. Me too. I got money on Houston. We're going to lock that one in and then move to the AFC. We got a bunch of good games here, and we're obviously going to save the best for last. We're going to start with the Buffalo Bills versus the Dolphins for Thursday Night Football, which, by the way, if you're going to be watching tonight, because we are releasing this on Thursday, this is the game that Sean's selections was based on. I've even got a bet on here. Actually, let me open up my Hard Rock Bet app while you say who you think's going to win this.
Buffalo. Like I said earlier, Dolphins can't get it done against that team. One game of the last 12 matchups. I think Josh Allen is going to get it done this weekend. I think the Bills are going to impress a lot of more people than they thought this year. So we will see about that, but I'm going to go ahead and say the Buffalo Bills win this one.
Yep, me too. And so my Zach's selections with a Z instead of an S. I'm a 4-legger for you guys. Now, 4-leggers are risky, so keep the money betting low.
Fucking degenerate.
I have a gambling problem.
Jesus, dude.
So it's a 4-legger. So Bills plus 2.5, and Tyreek Hill was on there because that's a very good base bet to start with.
Yeah.
Josh Allen anytime rushing touchdown, and the Bills money line. I think that can hit tomorrow. I truly do.
I like that Zach selections Four-legger is kind of crazy. I would have probably gone with two-leggers or four straights, but hey, man, shoot for the stars, aim for the moon is what they say, I think, right?
Yeah, man. If you want to get rich, you got to sometimes take some risks. Or
You
as
put
they
your life
say,
savings on that, right?
Yeah, $5,000, guys. I put $5,000 on that fucking game. Let me tell you. All right, man. Let's go to the next game. This is going to be a big defensive game, potentially. Offense, maybe. The Jets versus the Titans.
I'm going to take the Jets here. I mean, I cannot see Aaron Rodgers losing back-to-back weeks, especially to the Tennessee Titans. Will Levis just looks like a complete joke. I don't know if you saw his desperation throw last week against the Bears, but this dude was on his knees, hands covering his face. That's how embarrassed this dude was. And he honestly is a joke. And I can see Mason Rudolph possibly, stepping in at the starting position for the Titans within the next coming weeks. But I'm going to go ahead and put my word on the Jets.
All right, so I'm going to have the hot take here. I'm going to take Jets, Jets. You really thought I was going to choose the Titans, you fucking idiots? Oh, my God. No way in fucking hell. Oh, my God. I'm not taking the Titans ever, bro. At least not against the Jets, at least.
Yeah.
They got to get that quarterback situation figured out before I even choose them. And it's not that I don't think Will Levis is a bad quarterback. I just think he makes bad choices, and he needs to slow the fuck down and not throw it to the defense. Anyways,
he's young.
He
has a lot of work to do. I think what would really help him is honestly finding a veteran quarterback to sit under a couple of years, because I think he's too arm confident. He doesn't have a really confident arm, but he probably thinks he's confident throwing these desperation throws. But he's got some work to do.
Yeah, Will Levis is me in Madden, bro.
Tony Pollard, though, could also be another start for your running back this week. He looked fantastic last week.
Oh, hell yeah. So, we're going to get into our favorite team, the Browns versus the Jaguars. Who ya got?
This could go, honestly, either way. Trevor Lawrence tends to struggle against, good defenses. The Browns' defense looks kind of questionable, but again, it's week 1. It's too early to tell. I think we'll find more of a rhythm with these teams, by week 5, week 6, week 7. I think it's just safe to stick with the home team. I'm going to go ahead. Again, it could go either way. I'm just going to go ahead and stick with the Jags to win this game. With Trevor Lawrence, on top. Blonde beauty.
Yeah, I got T-Law and the Jags coming out on top on this one, man.
Sorry, Parker.
Ain't no way. I'm sorry. They looked like shit last week, and I think that trend's going to unfortunately continue. So, we only got 3 more games to go through. We've got the Raiders and the Ravens. The Ravens coming off of an extended week. I think they're going to be well rested, and I think they're gonna fucking win. They're just going to
give me the Ravens.
Yep. I don't even think we really need to talk about that one. It's not my lock of the week. You've noticed we haven't talked about my lock of the week yet, right? We talked about yours. Yours was the first one.
Yep.
Yeah, I think you know where I might be going with that, because this next game isn't necessarily a lock either. The Steelers versus the Broncos. I'm taking the Steelers, bro.
Yeah.
Justin Fields, he looked okay. He didn't look good, but Tomlin, man, every time he threw it to George fucking Pickens, bro, I was like, oh shit, George Pickens is him. You could throw him the shittiest pass ever, and he'll catch it and fucking get like 40, 50 yards off of it.
And at the end of the day, I think it comes down to coaching. I mean, Mike Tomlin, he has a 150 football IQ. I didn't think, and this is going to be a hot take, I did not see the Steelers, winning over 9 games, having that winning record for 18 straight years. But these next few weeks, these Steelers opponents, the Chargers, the Colts, the Cowboys is where it could get shaky, but they're in Pittsburgh. The Raiders, the Jets, again, they're at home in that game. The Steelers could go for a run. They're the Giants the week after, the Commanders, and then the Ravens. They always somehow find a way to beat the Ravens. Are the Steelers cooking something? Could they start the season 11-0, or possibly by the bye week, which is week 9, have 7 or 8 wins? I don't know. Steelers could be onto something here, but I'm going to go ahead and also pick Pittsburgh on top against the Broncos. Bo Nix, he's young, got a young team around him as well. I just don't see them getting done, especially with an experienced coach like, Mike Tomlin. I mean, he could honestly go down as one of the greatest head coaches of all time.
Yeah, I legitimately think so too. Mike Tomlin is a fantastic coach. Every time the Bengals have to fucking play him, I'm shitting my pants, man. I'm shitting my pants. This dude is such a great football mastermind to the point where it's like, it's fucking insane that he has not had a losing season. Like, just thinking about that. I don't think anybody else has fucking ever done that.
And to think the Steelers have only had 3 head coaches their entire time they've been of existence since who knows when, over 50, 60, 70 years. I don't even know. 3 head coaches over that time is insane. Talk about, God, I envy Steelers fans, man. They have it good.
They do.
They really, really do.
They do. And I'm so jealous. They got all the rings. They have all the prestige. Yeah, they've had some up years. They've had some down years. But, man, they are the most consistent team in football history, you ask me. All right. This is my lock of the week, Sean. And before we make any decisions on who the lock of the week is, I'm going to make a quick phone call. Maybe this person picks up. Maybe this person doesn't.
Ring, ring.
Ring, ring. Let's see if he picks up.
Hello?
Brother KP, how's it going, bro?
Good, what about you?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. I just want you to know you're live on the Coldiron Gridiron podcast right now. We are on our last AFC pick. How does it feel for me to tell you that I think the Chiefs versus Bengals, the Chiefs being the lock to win out of all the games that are being played this week?
I wouldn't say it's the biggest lock, considering the 3-1 record the Bengals currently hold against the Chiefs in the regular season. I think the rivalry brings the best in both teams. So, I mean, honestly, that's just how it's going to be. I don't see it being larger than like a 7, maybe 10-point spread. But that's just my honest take on it, even as a Chiefs fan.
You know what? And I appreciate your honesty as a Chiefs fan, but I'm being the Bengals' biggest hater right now. I literally think Patrick Mahomes is going to fucking run all over those guys. He's going to throw piss missiles left, right, down the middle. I think even Juju Smith-Schuster is going to get a touchdown, and he's probably going to fucking, gritty all over the field, once he gets everything said and done. But I just wanted to call you and hear your take on that, man.
Yeah, no worries. Anything you want to call about the Chiefs, if you want to rub it in my face, Burrowhead, all the critiques you have for me, just call and let me know, and I'll be sure to rub those 3 rings right in your face.
Well, I don't think we're in a position. I don't think we're in a position to talk shit, especially when it comes to rings, because the Bengals can't even. They've been to the Super Bowl as many times as you guys have got rings, so I guess we're in no position to talk shit, and I probably won't. But I really appreciate you picking up the call, man.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in, Kyle.
Take care. Love the show.
All right, man. Take care, man. See you tomorrow.
Take care. All right, bye.
All right, guys. That's our resident Chiefs fan, good friend of ours, Kyle Perry. Shout out to him for being a good sport. I do think, unfortunately, though, this is my lock of the week, bro. I think the Bengals look like total shit. And, KP might be right about one thing, man. It's that, this is a great fucking rivalry. It's a fantastic rivalry. I want to see this be a good game, but I don't know, man. There's just something. Maybe it's because I'm down in the dumps recently, but this is my lock of the week, bro.
Yeah. No, I also have the Chiefs winning. I mean, Bengals tend to struggle within the first 2 weeks in the Zach Taylor era. And he brought up a good point. I don't expect it to be more than a 7-point margin every time, these two teams have played. It's been by 3 points, other than the game last year on New Year's Eve with Jake Browning. I mean, he kept it within 8, and I thought he, played well. But I'm also going to go ahead, pick the Chiefs to win this week. Bengals are off to an 0-2 start for, I think, the third straight year. But, hey, they've been in this situation before. They finished strong, like I said earlier. Gone to an AFC Championship game, gone to the Super Bowl after, a rough start. But, God, man, the NFL really needs to, put games like this in the middle of the season. This is too early. Last year it was too late. You're dealing with injuries. This year, I mean, you're dealing with probably, it's still technically, I guess, preseason, but a lot of these young guys have jitters. They're, trying to find a rhythm as a team again. They haven't played a game in months. So it's just, really hard to find that chemistry, but the Chiefs seem to have it. They always do. I'm going to go ahead and pick Kansas City to win this week as well.
All right. Well, all our picks are locked in. Make sure you hit submit week to poll. Shout out. We're not sponsored or anything. Playoffpredictors.com. I love the UI. It keeps all your data. The only complaint maybe I have is that I think it changes my passwords, but we can't confirm that because I might be stupid and forget them. But shout out to Playoff Predictors, man. Awesome website. If you want to, try to predict a season, submit some pools, man. But other than that, that's all the topics we wanted to talk about here on the Coldiron Gridiron podcast this week, unless you had anything, Sean.
No, just want to thank everybody for tuning in this week and everyone who, tuned in last week and, had to, listen to our terrible takes. So we appreciate the love and support again.
Yes, like he said, man, we really do appreciate the love and support that you guys give us. It really means the world to us, even though we're just two dudes in our houses talking about football, something that we're super passionate about. Takes our minds off the bad shit that's going on, and it really just it brings me joy. It brings that the dopamine chemicals in my brain. All right, man. Well, Sean, love you, buddy. It's been a pleasure. We'll be back next Thursday for another episode of the Coldiron Gridiron. Make sure you guys tune in. Follow us on our social medias. You can follow Sean on X at SPCold69, and you can follow. I'm on X at ColdGridPod, so I basically run the podcast X. So if you see really bad things, it's not Sean, it's me. Let me take the heat. But you can also follow me on Instagram at ColdForgeSteel. This is Zach tuning out, and Sean tuning out as well.